Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 6th of June. Not feeling super great today, to be honest. I'm a little behind, technical difficulties, etc. And the market is just a little bit perplexing. I mean, I think I understand why it's moving, but I don't know. I'm super skeptical about it. So let's come to the charts. Let's explain what's going on. Again on Friday. Let's go to the footprint. Friday. So on a Friday, we had kind of like this. The market opened higher, but then it kind of trailed off all day. Sorry, not Friday, on Thursday, going into the 4th of July weekend. And then, normally I often expect it to be relatively constrained after that, but we get some news in China. I think the driver is this news that China is saying that, like, supporting equities is like the most important thing right now, and this and that. So we had a significant move up overnight. And this breaks some pretty key resistance too, right? I mean, they've been having a hard time getting through that. We're up to here. We're still not through this spot where, what was it? That Thursday, man? Woo! That Thursday. Or was it a Friday? I think it was a Thursday. Anyways, this whole thing right here, pretty nasty. Anyways, yeah, but everything pretty positive. So, and then I'm also seeing this headline that, is it? Do I have something in here wrong? Winston says, good morning, July. Yeah, no, I got it right. It's July 6th. Did I say June 6th? I got you. All right. Anyways, I'm also seeing news that, and I've been trying to find the source piece, but I can't seem to find it. But News Squawk is reporting that there is some therapeutic results for coronavirus that are market moving that should be announced sometime this week. This is curious. I don't quite catch what's going on here. But that's gonna make it difficult to short because we all know how the oh my gosh. You see, I'm having a hard time focusing. And I just saw StockTwits retweet somebody saying the futures are responding positively to Kanye West's presidential run announcement. Right? Okay. I just, guys, come on. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Donald Trump, if you want your 401ks and stocks, which are getting close to an all-time high, to disintegrate and disappear, vote for the radical left, do-nothing Democrats, and corrupt Joe Biden. Massive tax hikes. They will make you very poor very quickly. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, let's talk about Kanye West. I think I get everything covered. Any questions? I think we're good on where we're at. I'm going to, I guess I should say, because it's a Monday and I'm not feeling 100% on top of my game, we're going to use what the heck, Jigsaw is having some issues, so some platform issues on top of that. So not Jigsaw, not like my execution itself, but my connection to their journalytics seems to be having an issue. So yeah. Anyways, so I'll probably be doing hands-off approach today. Not even sure I'll take any trades, not even some sim trades. Let me just try opening up another window here just to. Yeah. Jigsaw's just. I don't know. It's not something that's never happened before. Looks like an unusual circumstance. So, wait, is it? It's not Ninja Trader doing it, is it? No. Ninja Trader seems to be fine. Day Trader just seems to be messed up from Journalytics or something like that. First time I think in like 3 years. No, probably the second time in like 3 years that I've had Jigsaw like outright freeze on me. So. Donald Trump is on the Twitter, so be careful. Is it gonna start here? Hold on. No, I don't see anything. They're having a really hard time today. Well, what do you know? This has never happened before. Johnny asks, "Good morning. Do you also have?" Yeah. Oh, so you're having problems today too. And good morning, Jeff. Kanye probably has something upcoming to promote. I don't know. So here's the thing: is Kanye West. Well, while we're waiting for Jigsaw to get with it here, let's talk about Kanye West. He's not registered to run for president. I don't think he has any campaign infrastructure up and running. I really think that he believes that it's as simple as saying that you're running for president and that things will just happen. So I wouldn't take his run seriously. Um, like I would be skeptical about his ability to even get on the ballot. Um, is it like he's promoting something? I mean, I don't know. He's been promoting a lot of things lately, and he hasn't needed that. It's really weird though, isn't it? It's really weird. So I don't know what to say about it other than that. Okay, let's see if we can get Jigsaw to start correctly now. Let's see if having any. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, I missed it. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's cool. Jigsaw's running a promotion, I guess. I think that it's already over though. First 50 customers only. Well, anyways. Let's go to their yeah, so you're getting it too, Guido. I'm getting it too. So let's go to their chat and see what's going on. I'm going to open it up in the browser. Okay. So it's starting for me now. Uh, okay. In the meantime, um, hmm. Okay. So it is going. I was like, is Ninja Trader even running? It does, but yeah, they're having a significant issue. Okay. Cannot check journalistic options for your account. Please check your username and password. Okay. So it's their Jigsaw servers are like hardcore down. Okay, let's see here. If I let's see, and it's like everything in Jigsaw is like churning. There says, yeah, Ninja's working, book map is working. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's not common. Probably like literally the first time I think that I've ever had a problem like this where it prevented me from actually executing. Oh, actually, I take that back. There was one time when there was an issue with databases, and that also caused some issues. But it's okay. You're going to get something like that from time to time. Not going to fret it too much. We'll see. This is a good test for you guys, if you're wondering, because even the best platforms, even you're doing like, Goldman Sachs or whoever it is, um, technical issues will come up. Okay, so it does start. It just takes it a really really long time. Anyways, you will get technical issues, right? The question is how good is your platform at resolving those issues? So let's see what they say. Mm. Well, I can get it did load back up. Still not seeing the Journalytics accounts. That's okay. So I think what's going on here is Journalytics is down for the moment, and there are certain features that expect Journalytics to be up, and when it can't access them, that's why when it's churning and sitting there. That's what it looks like to me, because it's still like goes, It still starts up and will connect to my data, and I could send live orders if I wanted to. Um, I would really like my economic releases window to work. It's the main thing. The main thing. So, is Trump going to get Mexico to pay for the cost of having his face carved on Mount Rushmore? Like the funny thing is that like that's unrealistic. If anybody was going to get added to Mount Rushmore, I think it would be Donald Trump. Hey,
Kenny
they have
Desmet says,
room.
"Hey Seth,
They
do you
have
think
room.
trading is something for everyone?
No,
I've been
certainly.
trying it for 2 months and I effing suck at it. A lot of minus $20, $30, minus $50 and only profits of $1, maybe $2.
Okay, so if you are trading micro futures and that is like your monthly results, then hey, that's actually not bad. So, um how do I want to approach this one? I mean, this is something that we talk about almost every day. Um and I don't want to like present it the same way. But so here's my question. Where do you believe that you're driving your edge from, or are attempting to drive your edge from, right? So when I say driving your edge, that means an advantage that you have over other market participants. And the question would be, um, what is that advantage, and who does it give you an advantage over? What group of market participants? You know what I mean? Hmm. So that was kind of a weird tick there in the E-mini. They did kind of turn back down in the E-mini, but it'd be really hard to just start
Kenny Desmet
selling
says, "I
them.
don't think I have any advantage tongue out."
Well, where were you trying to gain it from? So the question is, if you don't believe that you have an edge, then you shouldn't trade it live, at least, right?
Guido Sledden says, "Kenny, it might be as simple as cutting your losses short and letting profit run."
Maybe. So here's the thing that I see a lot is there's a lot of, when you're having problems, and what are the typical responses in the community? One of the things that I'll see a lot is like, oh, well, maybe it's your psychology. Maybe if you go and you read Mark Douglas, you'll have a better handle on your emotions.
Gary Rich says, shut up with the advise."
Maybe if you work on your psychology, then that will somehow magically, you'll fix that, and then you'll start making better decisions and everything will work great. Well, that would be true if what you were using actually has an edge. But very often what we find is that what we're trying to drive our edge from isn't enough, right? So it's either it's not an edge at all, or it's such an insignificant edge. So for instance, if my edge was understanding stochastic RSIs, right? Does that really give me a significant advantage over other market participants? Well, everybody can put a stochastic RSI up on there if they want, but you could maybe understand it better. But then how much of an advantage does actually understanding that indicator actually give you? Well, from what I have found, you know, the advantage of any one technical indicator is pretty tiny, pretty tiny, if there is any at all, when we're just trying to derive our edge from technical analysis. Another thing that you could be trying to derive your edge from is just from a better understanding of the order flow. So being able to know when is an advantageous spot to place your orders based on the liquidity and changes in liquidity, there certainly can be an edge in that. Robots can make money off of that. You and I, pretty hard to make money off of that, right? So here is an example of something that really truly has edge. Like really seriously. I mean, I would encourage everybody to pull up a DOM and learn how to use the DOM. But can that alone be a significant source of long-term edge? Well, my experience has been no, which is to say I've spent a lot of time just watching that and just trying to execute off of that and not really getting very far with it. Like I can break even with it, but and I've had periods of profitability. There's been periods where my market was going well and, good 3-4 months where it just goes amazing. But overall, I've had trouble with that approach just off of that thing, right? So what I have moved over to is having a better understanding of the news, right? So I catch the news that's going on faster. I understand it better. I'm able to anticipate what potential stories might come out, and I understand better how those stories are going to potentially affect the markets. And because I'm a small trader, I can get in on, and because I use the order flow, I can get in on those trades quickly. And that's where I've been able to generate some edge past few months, right? So that would be an example. So I guess what I'm getting at is if you've been trying to derive your edge from technical analysis and you haven't been having a whole lot of success for it, it might not be you. It might be technical analysis, right? So maybe spend more time learning about how the market works, how the companies that are involved in the futures market work, how the economic numbers work and what they mean, and how the market tends to respond to news, and develop an edge on the more of the fundamental side, right? So then it's hear the news, execute off of the news, rather than waiting for some, line on a chart to be crossed. And to further illustrate this point, I would ask, um, you know, when significant news is about to hit, liquidity pulls. Have you guys seen that? Well, if you're here regularly, maybe you've seen that, right? Big news event, everybody takes their liquidity off because they don't want to be in until the news is released. They know there's going to be a lot of volatility, and they can't predict which way it's going to go. Well, have you ever seen that for a technical analysis event? Like, ooh, there's this 50-day moving average that we've been away from for a while, and we're coming back to it. And I don't know if they're going to go through that moving average or not. And maybe if they don't get through that moving average, then maybe the market is going to fall down. And, so I want to wait and see what they do there. And then if they do it, then I want to take it short. Wouldn't that be something that, like, if it was really that important to the market to happen, that maybe some people would pull their liquidity and wait for that event to happen? But you never see that, do you? You never see that. Why? Why? Because the amount of edge that you can derive purely off of technical analysis is so small that for a big trader, it's practically insignificant. For these big guys that trade, on the desks, banks and stuff like that, almost insignificant. Mm, I hope.
Gary Rich says thank you for those enlightening words, now I have to swallow my double backwash vomit. Kenny Desmet says like S&P now for example. Gary Rich says the markets trade off technicals.
I don't think they do. I don't believe you. I don't agree with you. I think that technicals have an impact on the market for sure. That's why I was getting at, like, I don't want to sit down and say like technical analysis is completely bogus. But what I am saying is that the amount of edge that you're actually going to derive from it, I think, is really minimal. There's probably people out there that they've been trading this one technical analysis setup for, 5 years, and they have a really, really good stats and expectancy and, good profit factor, good probability on their trades and things like that. But I also think that a lot of us could probably spend that 5 years back testing hundreds of strategies, trying to find something that has the kind of performance that we're looking for and never find it. So why not try trading off of fundamentals instead? Mm.
Vincenzo C says Seth, are you an influencer with clout? Cause I don't want to waste my time.
Oh, Vincenzo. That's great. Well, I've been one of the things that I've thought is like, like when you're using technical analysis, in my opinion, especially momentum. Let me rephrase. Using momentum strategies is like following the herd. I and I have very much come to be against trading with the herd. I don't think that you want to take a trade just because the herd is doing it too. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that you don't watch the flows, right? But I want to know, I want to predict where the flows are going to go. So today, there's news. How did they phrase it? I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. Okay. It was on News Squawk where I was reading it. I tell you what, when I go and I read News Squawk, I very frequently see headlines that I do not see anywhere else. Okay. What did they say exactly? Tokyo, Asia. China's Security Times remarked that fostering a healthy bull market following the COVID-19 pandemic is now more important than ever to the economy. Was one of the headlines that I saw. And the bullishness started in Asia. For whatever reason, the Asian markets really, really wanted to buy this. And that seems to be one headline that seems to make sense. Because everything else that I see here is negative. You know what I mean? So what's happening? Money flows are coming into the stock markets because Asian traders expect the Chinese government to continue to provide um, unprecedented amounts of stimulus in order to keep equities uh, going high. Because if they don't, it would be really bad for the economy. And so it's necessary for them to continue to be pumping out excessive levels of debt that end up boosting the stock market, or at least boosting trading activity. Not going with the herd, I guess many want to be poor. Well, just because you don't want to be poor doesn't mean that you won't be. Pretty sure that everybody that's poor doesn't want to be poor. Don't know if that makes sense. Okay, I missed this one here.
Gary Rich says, well, you believe in God, but don't believe in technical analysis. Does God make you money? No. Vincenzo C says thumbs up.
I mean, if
Cozy Knesset says I'm long dollar clout.
there you go.
Block sell.
Love the way you said that. Okay, so there's a significant trade down there. Significant turn down there in the treasuries. Yeah, that looks like they're just going to keep going. That was a block sell. That is the first time I've seen a block sell in regular, like early regular trading hours in a long time. That is worth paying attention to. That was at 28.5, and then they immediately took 28. Yeah, that's a really... Now, the 5-year is taking it. The 30-year hasn't taken a new low yet. It's close. They haven't actually traded into 177.17 yet. We've ticked down all this time. They haven't hit into it yet. I'm going to get that one brave soul that decides to sell 17. Every once in a while in a situation like this, you'll see that they'll do it, and then they'll tick down again. And that one guy gets rewarded. But nobody wants to be the first one, do they? This is the odd conundrum with going with the herd. You don't want to be the first, but you definitely don't want to be the last, right? Anyways, on the clout thing, I don't think you want to be with the herd. So I say you look at the data, you decide what impact it's going to have on the market, and you be the one that's initiating and let everybody else follow you. That's my approach. That's my current thinking. Okay, so now they've traded into 17. When they traded down, 56 hit into 17. So, but there's definitely some, what do we say? Some flattening going on here. Some significant flattening going on here. Looks like. So, what do we see? Do we see 2s and 10s moving? No. Actually, when I look at it on these longer term charts, I'm seeing steepening. Overall, there was some steepening, and now they're flattening out. That's pretty crazy. You could have taken 28.5, 28, and already be up 2 ticks. Wonder though when if they're gonna pull back or not. And you're not seeing a move from the equities. Well, you know what? We probably missed while we were doing all that stuff. Let's just come back because we did have numbers today, right? Final services
Gary
PMI.
Rich says, yeah, right, your one shitty micro lot is gonna move price or action.
Sure.
Sure, next tell me I'm the greatest lover in the planet. You blind squirrel. You sure make me laugh.
I think, well, one lot maybe not, but over time can develop into that, sure. I mean, it all has an impact. I think that I would rather, if I can be that one lot, and if other people see my one lot and they take the trade, good for them. They're probably, if I have a good call, then they're going to make money. But I think that 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 would be more successful than being the one sitting there watching the tape and looking for that one lot and then taking it, or even if it was 100 lot or a huge lot. I guess here in this case, when they took
Kenny
the
Desmond
ZN,
says, such a lovely moderator, Carrot.
you know what? I give everybody that's been interacting here a lot, I give them that because they can post links. But I can count on one hand the number of times that we've actually had to come in and moderate. We're pretty open, and I don't like when you're on social media and people are getting censored because you know they're liberal or conservative or whatever. And some people will say things that I think are a little offensive or inappropriate, and I'll tell them as such. But I don't squelch them unless they're actually causing harm to the channel, or they're pushing something illegal, they're pushing a scam, something like that. So, like I've said, I've only had one or two times where somebody came in that was so toxic that we had to remove them.
Sunday Driver says, would that be me?
Sunday Driver would be the one that sometimes says things that are a little extreme, and we have to tell him, "Hey, all right, let's tone it down a bit." I've enjoyed having you around though, Sunday. You've been a really great contributor, honestly. It's been like what, 2 months now? This is the thing that's cool about this chat, guys, is that it's literally like, I mean, we're not huge. We're really not huge. How many do we have watching right now? Oh, 28. That's not bad. Usually lately we've been peaking around 30. There was a point when like everything was like super crazy that we were getting like 50 viewers concurrent at some points. But generally speaking, we're pretty small. But it's like the same people every day. There's like a dozen of you guys that show up every day, and I really appreciate it. And I don't know. I don't think that my one lot matters, but I think collectively that when we come to a decision about a particular dynamic in the market, I think it can
Kenny
have
Desmond
some
says, I
impact.
want to watch your stream a lot more, but my English isn't that good and sometimes I can't understand a word you're saying tongue out.
Oh, well, you know what? If you don't understand what I'm saying, just ask me to rephrase it. I have this weird tendency. Is it a weird tendency? Sometimes I like to use words that are unnecessarily big. You see, like unnecessarily. That would be a good example of me using unnecessarily big words. So I could see how it would be difficult sometimes. And plus there's the financial jargon, right? What is your first language? So let's see here. Was it 11 that the ZB was? No. It was 17. Wow. So since breaking 17, and now they're down 4 ticks. Well, because I don't know what's causing that.
Kenny Desmond says, I get it most of the time though. I am from Belgium, so Dutch.
Okay. I don't know any Dutch. I love I know a lot of. I really know the Dutch accent because I really like dance music, and they're all Dutch. So many of them are Dutch. There's not any. See, I don't see any news. China, quote unquote, withdrawing troops from disputed borders, says Indian officials. Okay, so Zero Hedge pointing out earlier that China is now their composite index is doing better than the SPOOs, than the E-mini. So that's funny what he's pointing out there. But see, we don't see why the Treasury is moving the way that it is. We know that somebody really, really wanted to sell it at 28.5. And whenever I see a big order like that, I certainly want to pay attention. But unless I have some idea of why they're taking it, I don't think that I want to, because I've seen situations where you sell that and it comes right back into your face. Bank of Israel to buy corporate debt for the first time, but not the last time. Everybody's doing it now. Yeah. So could be, well, where are we from a technical perspective, first of all? Is there anything from a technical perspective that could give us some? No. So we are close to some of the lows from the past week, but not quite. So that gives me a little bit of pause. But with the amount of momentum that they've come through here, they start pushing 25.5. Who knows how much further they could go. But I don't actually know what's causing it. So that kind of gives me, you could try taking it just purely on a order 2 perspective, but I'm just telling you, I've tried that before and usually doesn't work out.
Gary Rich says Bloomberg had that China sparks global rally. Haven't we seen this China stimulus before? 2015 hint hint.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was going back to earlier, was like trying to figure out, okay, so Asia really wanted to buy it. Why was it that Asia really wanted to buy it? One thing was that China didn't do repo operations today. So it didn't look to me, at least I don't have any indication that China was throwing more money into the market to make a move. But there was this, this thing from their financial newspaper saying that it was important to support equities, which I'm guessing the traders all say, okay, well, that's actually the government speaking, and so they're going to try and support it, I guess. Yeah, this whole move is one where it's kind of like there's certainly a driver out there, right? And an edge, if you understand what that driver is. But at the moment, I don't understand what it is. And if I don't know what it is, why should I try trading it? You know what I mean? Because I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, oh, okay, well, they're selling it, and it looks like they're selling it really hard, so let's sell 27. And how do I know if it's going to go lower from 27 or not? I don't really know. For all we know, it's going to bounce right back to 28.5 here in the next 5 minutes. That would seem unlikely, but
Gary Rich says the M currencies are getting slaughtered. The CNY versus, say, Brazil, Mexico, AUS,
okay.
Euro, GBP all get hammered.
Well, the dollar in general has been getting hammered hard. Like the euro is up really strong. The 6J is generally moving up. The 6J is moving up even though the treasuries seem to be getting killed here. I mean, 6J for the past hour is actually break even. So I'm not sure what to make at that, but People are definitely making some moves here.
Gary Rich says no, Seth, the dollar getting hammered is under 94. It's in a trading range.
Fair enough. I mean, being below 97 is... It's not the lowest it's been, has it? Where were we? Like, the funny thing is this chart doesn't go very far, unfortunately. Do I have one that's like... I don't think I've tried. Well, let's try it. I'm going to try like a daily chart of the dollar index and see what it does.
Gary Rich says study your charts, Peel.
Okay, so there's the euro. And then if I come in here...
Gary Rich says study your people.
At my dollar index on the daily chart, does it work? Well, I'm just saying that the amount that it's been hit today is pretty significant. Fairly. No, I guess it's not huge. They did touch 96. It was where they bounced last time. Now I can show you. That's on a daily basis. So even though it's having a pretty good down day, it's not crazy. But you can see there, it's more significant than, say, anything last week. And when you look at the euro in particular, the euro versus the dollar looks like it's doing really, really well. Boston Fed Main Street lending program is now fully operational and ready to purchase participants in eligible loans submitted by registered lenders. Maryland governor calls on Baltimore leaders to regain control of their own streets after toppling of Columbus statue. Fed is encouraging lenders to begin submitting their qualifying loans. See, that could be something that could be moving us. But do you
Sunday
see?
driver says gold up.
It came back. Did I say, hey, it could be right back to 85 in 5 minutes? I wasn't saying that like I thought that was going to happen, just that was as probable as them moving further down as far as I knew, because I don't know why they're moving. Now that they're back there, let's see how they react. That might have been somebody coming in and hedging, right? So maybe somebody needed to hedge, needed to sell the treasuries to hedge. They saw their opportunity, so they just took a big chunk out at 28.5, and then everything else was just momentum trading, and then it petered out, and they're all covering on the way back up. When I look at the volume, in particular in the 30-year, look at the 30-year. You see the cumulative delta there? Lower left. Pretty significant delta increase on the pullback. But not in the 5-year. The 5-year, they sold it. So that could be spread trading still.
Kenny Desmet says I heard that if gold goes up the markets will drop. Is that true?
If
Doesn't
gold
make
goes
any
up,
sense to me.
Well, No, that doesn't make any sense to me either. The gold certainly seems to be going up. I mean, there's no question about that. They're not as high as the 1800, but look, they're eyeing it today. They're really eyeing it today in gold. Oh, this one that I have in the background is gold. Looks relatively
Sunday
noisy
Driver
today.
says when the US dollar crashes to zero, gold will soar.
But the thing is, if we could just come back here a second, think about the bigger picture here again, right? Where is the dollar been? Okay, like over the past year, we've been in
Sunday Driver says
96
lol.
area. But you know what? We need to go to a different chart. We're gonna need to go to TradingView.
RJ Wheel says thinking too much, Kenny. The money has to go somewhere.
Yeah. I guess but I guess my point was going to be, yeah, gold is probably going to continue moving up, but that's not necessarily going to be causing other things to happen, right? Gold moving up is really more a consequence of other stuff, right? DX. Yeah. Okay, it moved it to my daily. Okay, so when we look at where we are right now, the dollar index in this 95 area, okay? And we've been there for a long time. Like ever since 2018 when we had that what was it? Right here. Yeah, December, the end of 2017 was when it was the lowest, and then it kind of moved up all that year, and then here was when things started to get a little hairy.
RJ Wheel says and I'm going to your house Sunday.
Right. Oh, this one was the liquidity crunch right here, right? February 2018. And then December 2018 was when we had that really, really bad December when the Federal Reserve made their interest rate mistake, right? And then ever since then, the dollar has been relatively high, right? And then we had the coronavirus thing. And when the coronavirus thing came in, we saw this huge move in the dollar down and back up. And then since then, we've still been in this range. So, from a historical perspective, and if we go back even further, okay, now when you really start going back, okay, like I remember the dollar being in the 70s and 80s. Like 90 is really high, right? So, could the dollar fall further? Heck yeah. There is a lot of room to fall for the dollar. And you can see them trading off of it. And there's two ways that I'm seeing people trade off of it. I'm seeing people move into Europe, so like European equities have been doing pretty good.
Sunday Driver says
the
gold
euro's
is right
been
now a
doing good.
derivative of the US dollar. The Fed keeps punishing the US dollar and it's only a matter of time before it starts to show.
And then there's over the long term. Now gold has been a really volatile trade on a daily basis, but over a longer time frame, gold has been doing really, really well as well. Let's see here. But keen to take a victory lap for becoming the first large economy to recover from COVID-19, China's state-run media was seeking to bask in the stock market's feel-good glow. Ha 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 ha, said a story in Shanghai Securities News on Friday. The signs of a bull market are more and more clear. That is like... That seems like some crazy hubris, doesn't it?
Gary Rich says gold went down when Fed hiked rates, 10 years moved yield-wise. The gold in 2022 will likely be above 1800.
Oh, yeah. We're going to take this 1800, probably, and probably continue to move up for quite some time. The thing is, I mean, we saw this after the 2008 crisis, right? When you get all of this money printing, even if it works out, and let's just say for the moment that it worked out in 2008. I know that's not really the full story, but in a lot of people's minds, it worked out, right?
Gary Rich says I'm in 21 and 2022 GLD calls.
Like, before this coronavirus thing, I would think that most people, the majority of market participants, would say that the unprecedented stimulus that we put into the markets was good and worked overall. So, but when that happened, there was a lot of people putting money into gold, and they were doing that for the longest time until all of the bears that were concerned about the money printing gave up eventually, and then gold fell back down. And so here you probably see a similar thing, right? People are going to see central governments printing a lot of money. They're going to move into gold. And then if it works out, or let's just say that like nothing bad happens, then further on
Sunday
down the
Driver says
line.
the Fed lied about a lot in 2008. They said we'd never QE again and clear the balance sheet. Didn't happen. No one will believe the Fed again.
Well, I didn't. Did they really say that we'll never do this ever again?
Gary Rich says all COVID did was accelerate the credit and debt cycle coming to the end.
Sunday Driver says gold will be $10,000 an ounce.
Can't make a prediction like that. That's way high. You're calling for a 5 times, almost more than 5 times.
Sunday Driver says yes. They said it was a once in a lifetime event.
You know what? When I was looking at quantitative easing, I didn't hear anybody saying it was a one-time only event. In fact, I very, very clearly remember everybody saying that, hey, Japan did this, and that once you start doing it, you have to do it.
Uzi Knesset says BTC will be $450,000 by Thanksgiving.
Right. No, probably not. Where is Bitcoin? I saw that they had done some stuff over the weekend, but they had, yeah, there you go. Bitcoin had tried to push the 9,000 level, and they dipped below it just briefly, but didn't really do a whole lot. Man.
Gary Rich says BTC is holding in.
It seems to me like the bulls in Bitcoin are not they're being tested right now, and they don't seem to be letting go. Now, on this latest move up here this morning, I see a little bit of position building. So it's possible that if we had another move down, then maybe they could break them. But the problem with Bitcoin is that on the upside, you get to like 1,300, and that's crash imminent. They're already like way overbought. It doesn't look like they're overbought in the how do we say this? So like in previous crashes, there's been some real evidence of like what do we say, like over leverage? Would that is that fair? Over leverage? But here in Bitcoin today, I don't see that. It looks like that it's being pumped up, but that not a lot of investors are really.
Gary Rich says, I guess, Seth, you didn't know they're a BTC VIX.
I haven't seen Bitcoin VIX, but I don't. That's not how I value Bitcoin, so it doesn't. I don't try day trading it, so it doesn't really. It's not incredibly pertinent to me. What I'm telling you is that if they get to like 1,300, 1,500 with the current dynamics that are going on in Bitcoin, of course, if we see a pickup in activity on the blockchain, then that can certainly change things. But with the current amount of activity in the current ecosystem in Bitcoin, they get up to that spot, then you're going to see that VIX spike. And you'll see another really ugly move. Donald Trump is still tweeting. He tweets, "This is no longer about peaceful protesting." He must be quoting somebody because there's quote marks around it. I believe So pay attention here, because it looks like the administration is making a change. So here's what I think that they're going to do. They're going to very much push some of the messaging that they had in his Mount Rushmore speech, which means pushing against protesters that want to take down statues of George Washington, all that. Of course, you probably all expected that. But then the second thing that I think that they're going to start pushing is that they're going to say that coronavirus is something that's going to continue to be with us probably up and through the election. That there will still be cases, but that we don't necessarily need to shut down the economy. But it's a possibility that if hospitalizations become too high in areas, that local
RJ
officials
Wheel
should
says
do what they
probably.
need to. Yeah, I mean, but I know that you're all saying, well, of course it's going to be with us until there's a vaccine or until there's herd immunity. But that's not the messaging that the Trump administration has been pushing. They're going to
Winston's mom
change their
says,
tune.
pick up. Yes, please, let's pick up the likes. Thanks, thumbs up.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, every time you guys hit that like button, it helps the stream out a lot. Number of likes that the video gets is the biggest determinant of how well our channel does. So I guess on the live streams, not a huge deal, but it helps. So since that move in the treasuries, when was
Sunday
that?
Driver says, where's the thumbs down?
707. You can click that too. 707. Yeah. Okay. So since that move in the treasuries, we're seeing equities
Gary
pull
Rich
back.
says what happens when you get more dislikes for your videos.
Nothing. The only thing that disliking a video does, from my understanding of how the algorithm works, the only thing that it does is it makes it so that you are less likely to see the content. But it counts as engagement just as much as likes do. Which is why you will get recommended videos that have a high number of dislikes, actually. If the content of the video seems to be something that you would be interested in. So, as an example, if you are really, really interested in global warming and you watch every video about how global warming is man-made.
Gary Rich says, okay, I'll make sure to smash the dislike. Gotta be a contrarian.
And then a video comes along.
Gary Rich says, Lou.
That is about that global warming is man-made. And, the Donald comes along and finds that video and dislikes it in mass. You would still get recommended the video. In fact, you'd be more likely to be recommended the video because you like that particular content and it has high engagement. And the fact that it has more dislikes than likes doesn't affect the how likely it is to be recommended to somebody that likes that content. It still counts as engagement, is my understanding.
Sunday Driver says, I need to report this stream to YouTube. Take it down.
But the more engagement, so likes, and then comments too. Like if you come back on the video and comment later what happened during the day, that helps a lot too. Like there seems to be a threshold though. It's like if I have like 1 or 2 comments on it, then that can maybe like increase the
RJ
number
Wheel
of
says
views.
Trump is going to get reelected even though he has more dislikes.
Now, will maybe give us 20 more views on it that day. But if like a conversation gets going, if you guys like go back and forth in a thread and in the comments, for like 20 comments, those videos get recommended a ton. And that's where you get videos that, for me, where a regular stream can get into the, hundreds and thousands.
Winston's mom says to question the obvious and the given as an essential element of the maxim, de omnius dubitandum, all is to be doubted. Christopher Hitchens, Letters to a Young Contrarian.
Yeah. But if you dislike a video,
Gary Rich says JPM said Wall Street wasn't happy with Biden. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Hmm.
Kenny Desmet says thoughts on silver going back to $50, and what would have to happen in order to get there? RJ Wheel says Tucker Carlson is getting talked up for 24.
So silver is an interesting one. I remember when silver got to $50. I traded that actually. I was trading on a spreadsheet back then, and I bought it the day before it went up there. I bought it, and then the next day I sold it, and I made money on it going up, and I made money on it going down, in a spreadsheet. But I think that how do I put this? So silver has less liquidity, and silver
Gary
for some
Rich
reason
says remember earnings season soon. Get ready for fun.
for some reason silver just has this tendency to just go absolutely crazy. I mean, like you can tango the market, right? When silver hit that 50, the previous time that it hit the 50 was in the 80s, and the reason that it had moved there was because somebody had cornered the market. And so something that happens with silver, one of the reasons that they take it is that because it's so volatile, because it has such little liquidity, the margin requirements aren't very high.
RJ Wheel says Hunt Brothers.
Yeah. So you'll get this thing where silver will just go like super crazy, and then the exchange will come in and go, okay, we're gonna have to increase the margin requirements because silver is like worth double what it was before. And yeah, and then when that happens, it's like it just kills everything. So if I was gonna be taking, if I wanted to take advantage of what's going on, I would probably still play gold on a longer term perspective. And if I wanted to day trade and I was really suicidal or something, then sure, trade silver. Because if it's anything like it was after 2008, I'm sure that there are crazy times in silver ahead. Earnings season soon. Yeah. The thing is like, I don't see.
Winston's mom says Gary Rich cuttest YouTube video. Check out PBBCR Border Collie Pups meet sheep for first time.
What? Oh, I'll look that up later. Oh my gosh. No way, I'm gonna look it up now. I'm gonna watch it over here. I don't want to like be accused of stealing other people's content or anything. Okay, so I see some border collies. Yeah, they're pretty cute baby puppies. Okay, where's the sheep? I don't see any sheep yet. Oh, okay, wait. They've introduced fast forward. Okay. They have encountered some sheep and now they are chasing them. And the sheep are absolutely terrified and they're just little puppies that just want to play with them.
Gary Rich says I'm all on those border collie puppy vids.
So I think that when earnings come out, that it'll come out and like, or there might be a few companies that will like really exceed expectations, but overall, most of it's just going to be like, maybe even in line with expectations. You know what I mean? Like that's what we should expect to see happen, right? If we're paying, if our forward earnings numbers are good, and what we're saying is happening in the market is that people are overpaying for future earnings, then what we should expect to see is earnings will come out and it won't really influence the stock a whole lot because it'll just be, what's expected. If not, disappointing a little bit and having some pullbacks. But, I think that you're going to see a lot of just sideways, right? I'm sticking with my sideways theory here. I think that if you overpay for future earnings, that and the market continues to be bullish because of, unprecedented monetary stimulus, then you go sideways. Okay, so we are seeing some selling here on the open in the E-mini. Not terribly significant, but it is selling. There was some pretty big, there was some thousands up at 3164. I have to apologize. I'm still not 100% there. You notice that I'm I don't think I'm having as much trouble talking, but I'm definitely
Kenny
not
Desmond
as...
says I am Gnotic and Elf I'm Gnotic Gnoblin I'm a gnome and you've been gnomed.
Where'd you
Kenny
get that
Desmond says I am sorry but I had to do it tongue out.
from? She read it really well, didn't she? Anyways, it seems like my train of thought, I'm a little bit easier to distract and move from subject to subject today, isn't it? Okay, so they're going to sell again.
Kenny Desmond says yeah she did, kinda fast though.
Yeah, well, I have a
It
read
says, I am
fast.
not an elf, I'm not a noblin, I'm a gnome and you've been gnomed in Indian.
Oh, that was freaking great, Uzi. Wait. Let's see here. Let's see if I put the right one in.
Sunday Driver says I'm GNOT a GNELF I'm GNOT a Noblin I'm a gnome and you've been gnomed.
스페큘라톨세스 데이 트레이딩 세이즈 임크나 네인엘프 아이 엠크나 데이 그노블린 아이 MA 노움 앤드 유브 빈 노움드.
Kenny Desmond says ha 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 I started something here.
That's hilarious. Now we're going to have to try it in all of the accents.
スペキュレーターセトデートレーディング SAYS アイム GNOT アグフアイム GNOT アゴブリンアイムアグノーム&ヨーベビングノームド
Genommen da.
Cozy Knesset says, oh god, that's gonna be a mess.
Genommen da. Okay, they're going to test this pivot here. 3157.75. Maybe. Are we that far away from it? Yeah. No, I think it's good. It's 59 areas.
Gary Rich says are we attending United Nations conference in this chat?
Apparently. What have we not used? Oh, we haven't done the Russian. Wait. Ukraine F.
Speculator set day trading says im gnota ignef im gnota ignoblin im ignom and yav bin gnomed.
Nomad. That's good. That's good stuff, dude. Where did you get that I'm not a elf and I'm not a goblin, I'm a gnome and you've been gnomed.
Cozy Knesset says, hi Gary, I'm Michael Smith from the Social Security Administration. We are calling you about suspicious activity on your social security number.
Oh man, have you ever watched that guy on Twitch that will scam the scammers? It's funny stuff.
Gary Rich says lol lol lol.
He's a clever guy. He knows his stuff. Okay, so they're making looks like we're gonna have a pivot here. Yeah. Okay. So that was a pretty good sell, but overall, about 6,000 contracts over the past 30
Cozy Knesset
minutes.
says, Kid Boga, we hate him, he plagues our call centers daily.
Winston's mom says, accent French speculator Seth not feeling well, do you still taste and smell? Okay, boys, I threw you a low-hanging curveball.
Oh, I think you do the info here. I'll do it for you. Info. It will tell you the correct.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says, info.
Is it? No, it shouldn't do it. It shouldn't have. Whatever.
Sunday Driver says hi. I'm from Mortgage Loan Guarantee Services. I can help you with outstanding mortgage needs.
Oh, maybe I don't have the French. I guess I don't have French added. Yeah. Anyways, Rabobank, the U.S. has 2 aircraft carriers strike ropes near Taiwan at the moment. That's not mobilization, but it's a clear message. While the EU is setting up a committee that might greenlight a
Winston's
working
mom
paper
says
on
lol.
potential future petition. Donald Trump tweeting NASDAQ hits all-time high. Oh, he finished that tweet. This is no longer about peaceful protesting. This is about angry, violent criminal mobs taking over
Uzi
certain
Knesset says that Sunday
Democrat-run
Driver, there has
cities.
been an order placed on your Amazon account for $799. Press 1 to confirm or press 2 to speak to a representative.
Den her says ROFL.
Oh, I forgot that Dan still had the German female accent on. That's it's a close. Oh man, there's so many of them that I like, but the German accent is so sexy. I really like that one. I think that the Ukrainian female is the funnest, but
Den her says how do we get a idea of accent?
you just have to change the accent back to default. So you just do pound set accent default. I don't have that one listed. Probably need to change.
Den
it
her
up.
says hashtag set accent default.
No, the exclamation point. Exclamation point set accent, all one word default. So we bounced. But that was kind of a pathetic bounce, don't you think? There you go. So now if I read what you
Dan
said
H
earlier,
says, set accent default.
there you go. Wonder, is Journalytics still down? Looks like it. Don't see anything out there though about it. That's a little concerning. Okay. So maybe now the equities can get back above the open. The problem that we're going to have today, I think, is that because we had such a strong move overnight, and I'm not sure if um, the American traders are
Gary
going to
Rich
be as
says July
bullish.
7th Treasury has a report tentative which reports to Congress on macro and foreign exchange policies.
Okay. I thought I was going to say Marco. I'm like, what does Marco Rubio have to do with it? Okay, so we had the PMIs. Did we? It was 47.9 versus a forecast 47. So at the top of the hour, we got the non-manufacturing PMI, which is expected to come in at 50. So I don't know if the market is expecting a huge impact from this one. This is typically a pretty impactful number, but I've been noticing that even when these impactful numbers, like they're really impactful, and they come in like very different from the expectations, that other things end up happening that end up mattering more, like, the number of coronavirus cases. By the way, I didn't talk about this. This is probably the most important thing that I could tell you today. It seems to me that the market is having trouble pricing in the number of coronavirus cases because there is some, let's
Gary
say,
Rich says link for site January 2020
Okay.
report data of FX reserves.
there's some weekly behavior to it, right? Because, like, think about it. If you are sick, do you go in on Friday or Saturday to go and get tested? Usually, I think that what happens to a lot of people is they think they're sick and then, they wait until Monday and then they go and they get tested. So what's happening is you actually see lower case counts at the beginning of the week, and then higher case counts towards the latter half of the week. And at first, the market seemed to understand this, but over the past week or two, they've started to not understand it. It's like there's some robots out there trading this that don't factor that in. So there's almost kind of this thing where it's like you can buy it at the beginning of the week and then sell it on Thursday or whatever. And so over the weekend, we had pretty low coronavirus case counts. And that was one of the reasons that I think we ended up opening higher for the week. And if that is the case, then, we could also see low coronavirus case counts today. And so we'll see in like 30 minutes if we move down, or sorry, if we move up. I think that that's a good possibility. But just realize that if that happens, then there's an opportunity later in the week when the coronavirus case counts are going to be higher. And especially next week when all the people that are caught it over the weekend come out, right? So be very aware of that. There appears to me, at least, there is a possible market inefficiency there that you can take advantage of. Basically, you can almost expect that the number of coronavirus cases that are going to be announced today are going to be below the 7-day running average. Okay, so now that we've gotten back to the open, I'm seeing very heavy trade and liquidity at 31.63 again. What are internals doing here?
Gary Rich says cases counts will rise, but not death counts. It's a real front run.
Yeah, so that's another interesting thing, isn't it, Gary? Look, we know that coronavirus case counts are going to rise because we're testing so many more people, in addition to a lot of people catching it. And also, before, everybody was, how do I put this? One of the things that caused so many deaths.
Patient age in FL is 39. My turn is coming soon. Disappointed.
Yeah, a lot of the deaths when we were in New York, for instance, were from older people. So it would like sweep through nursing homes, and that was kind of how that went. And everybody was staying home, and so a lot of the younger people didn't.
Gary
catch
Rich
it.
says everyone is revising their GDP #S unemployment rates for Q2. It's coming in right now.
Okay, so what's happening now is you're going to get a lot of people catching it that are younger.
Sunday Driver says I'm not sure how deaths can't go up. I understand the whole testing numbers thing, but it's going to rise at some point.
So even though at some point you probably are going to see an increase in deaths, the likely case is that the vast majority of the new cases that you're seeing right now are from young, healthy people that are confident that they're going to be okay and are just taking the risk because they know that there's a
Sunday Driver
extremely
says second
unlikely to
wave
kill
in
them.
cold and flu season.
Extremely unlikely to kill them. So you're going to see increasing case counts without the death rate increasing necessarily. I think that you will see in deaths overall increase, but the rate of deaths is going to be lower overall. As in the number of deaths per confirmed cases, you're going to see is continue to be low until possibly the fall.
Says, all I know is all deaths that aren't accidents or murders are covert deaths, so.
Yeah. Well, there's some real
Gary Rich says with more
controversy over
testing, it's
that. I don't
expected
know
to
what
see
make of it.
60% of the population to have it.
Yeah. At some point, it's going to get there for sure. Need to breathe. I'm having trouble breathing here. That's my deal. Okay, so they did push up a little bit there. Maybe now they're going to try and push for the high. Be interested to see they break the high if they just go or what they're getting, you know. I think you could see some serious momentum if they go and they break it. Okay, we are seeing the treasuries come back down again. Igor got 29 in the treasuries. That's a good pick. Okay. Anyways, I don't know if there was all that chat in there. I don't know if I got that all
Gary
out
Rich says I
correctly.
wanted to be tested $100, but no guarantee that I wouldn't have to not wear mask, distancing, etc. Why bother to do it? No incentive for
Yeah.
me.
Unless you get that certified survivor, microchip implanted in your forehead, what's the point? Karen's still going to come after you. I have to say, though, it seems to me that in Utah, even among the people that are very adamantly you should wear a mask, aren't taking it very seriously. That people just aren't taking it very seriously. And I don't think that that's necessarily because they don't think that it's a big deal. Maybe part of it is just fatigue, but I also think that there's some acceptance. People are starting to accept that everybody's going to catch it. And so, yeah, you're going to see, like I said, you're going to see a lot of people catching it that are healthy individuals and have no chance of dying. So you will see really high case counts, but the overall death rate won't increase. And deaths will probably run steady. Where you might see a problem is in the fall when the
Knesset says that's normal. Giving people a hard time for not wearing a mask is more important than wearing a mask. Got to get that viral shame video.
Gary Rich says California bans singing in church. I'm
Oh
like
my gosh,
WTF,
yeah,
so they have to sing using sign language. We are so stupid in CA.
I don't think that that it's constitutional for the government to infringe upon your rights, even if it's in the interest of public safety. Of course they're going to try, but I think ultimately that those laws should be struck down. That doesn't mean that you should do it. I mean, they have a good point. If you go to church, don't sing. If you go to church, wear a mask. It's probably okay to have church now, but earlier it was a good thing for those people that canceled church. But making a law, I'm not. It's not okay in my book. It is an overstep of government. It's unconstitutional. Okay, so when we did break that high, we did get a pretty decent up bar. So that momentum play is in effect, right? Basically, the day traders are all waiting for the upside momentum, and now they're all jumping on it. Though then the question is, well, they could break the overnight high, sure.
Kenny Desmet says got my first $5 profit.
Well, there you go. I don't know if there's, to be honest, I don't know. from my perspective,
RJ Wheels says not if they use seatbelts and motor yoke helmet and smoking in public rooms argument. Kenny Desmet says that makes up for the -20s tongue
okay.
out.
So hold on, you got a good argument there, RJ.
RJ Wheels says cycle, not yoke.
So if we can make a law that requires people to wear seatbelts, then can't we make a law that says you can't go to church during a viral outbreak? I don't know. I don't know if there's a philosophical framework that I can use that would make one okay and not the other okay, other than just matters of degree. You know what I mean?
RJ Wheels says the argue is masks are a preventive for health. Just as seatbelts are.
Sure. But not going to church is a much uh, a significant step up from you have to wear a seatbelt, isn't it? But I guess we're not really it shouldn't be going to church. It should be you have to wear a mask. So should the government be allowed to require a mask?
Sunday Driver says we are going to evolve and become mole people.
Young Hong says freedom of religion is taken very seriously on a country built on the foundation of it. Young Hong says at least by the people.
Okay, you were
RJ
nice
Wheels
one.
says I was saying for mask mandatory rule.
I think I think I'd have to admit that the
Gary
government
Rich says
probably
here agrees we are
can.
gonna drive to the highs. All the fiscal and monetary stimulus it's gonna occur.
I think the way that so I was saying earlier, if you're making money and you're going long in the e-mini, I think the argument has to be the money flow right now. It just seems to be long. I'm a little cautious about it still, just because of the way that it did it. I see a lot of trend following out there. And so it looks like that if we're going to drive up again, that it will be once again the retail trading driving it. But we have news coming out here in 60 seconds. So let's see what that does first. We got that, and then we've got coronavirus case numbers every day. Don't never know exactly when those are going to come out, but I would expect those numbers to be okay. So probably the right choice is long. And where would be a safe place to take it? Well, if we were to get back to 65, then that would be a really good pick, but probably too late. 10 seconds. Good to sneeze. That felt good.
Gary Rich says I meant all-time highs, not these ones.
All-time highs? Oh. Okay, so here's the news. They like it.
RJ Wheels says bless you.
Okay. 57 spot 1 versus 50 expected. Oh, yeah, you buy that. Okay, 71. Or with some absorption at 71, they're pushing through it anyways. Okay. Yeah. And the treasury's really puked on that one. So the Chinese manufacturing numbers were pretty good, and these were even better, right? That's a very positive number. Anything 69, 25, 70, 71. Nah, I think 70 would be where I would be clicking. Yeah, 70. I could get 69.25, that would be awesome. But just with the way the absorption is going, they did break the overnight high. So to the question that will get all-time highs. Well,
Young Hong says, wow, we looked away for 20 seconds and the pump was crazy.
it's possible. I think it'll take a little bit longer to get there, though. It's not something that I foresee happening like the end of the month or anything. In fact, I'm still concerned about an August swoon. Either because fiscal stimulus pulls back because of changes to unemployment insurance, or just more bankruptcies hit then, and probably a couple of companies are gonna have poor earnings and will drag things down. Okay, so I was thinking 70, but they're coming back pretty hard. I still think this is one you can buy. That's a really strong number. It's a strong number, but I would just like to see a little bit of positive momentum going for you first, Well, they're coming. Now they're actually back to the pre. They've actually touched the pre-news level. So here's another one where if I could get the pre-news level 3167, I'd absolutely would have taken that. We should come in and look at targets, huh? Yeah, I think I like 67, even though there's a possibility that they come in and try and wash you out. Okay, today's target is 88, 89. $20 points. So 67, 57 is below the low of the day. Yeah, I like it. 67 right there. I'm really tempted to just click into it, but because I really like the trade. Oh, you would have gotten filled right there. Okay, so there's
Gary
the
Rich
test
says
of
bankruptcy are already on rise. It not Chap 7 liquidation, it's debt protection. Companies are leveraging assets, they tap their revolving credit lines to zero.
Actually, they're to the open too. So I expected them to come back down through it a little bit, but not that far. Maybe now is a better buy, though. Yeah. So, a couple of prices that I see. 65 is a key turning point. I also see 63 was kind of like the stop everybody out. Yeah, I don't know. So it seems to me that my takes for like where to position yourself haven't been working too great. I think if I was going to take 67 and I was expecting 20 points off of it, so we was really going to hold it to the daily target at 89, that you could risk a new low of the day before you'd have to give it up. But I would like to be more efficient than that. And the way that they're trading it down is unusual. and I think would have to give me pause about taking that trade now, or would have me out of it. Hmm. Okay. So now I'm seeing some absorption in the 61 area.
Young Hong says I wanna see what happens at VWAP.
Overnight VWAP? 61.50. Well, there was a couple of technical levels that maybe you could have utilized. I don't know if they were too great. Right here, I think 61 to 62 is great.
RJ Wheel says yay a VWAP trader.
I think that the fundamental backdrop here supports moving higher. So I'm wondering. I'm sure that a lot of retail traders got screwed over there, but I still think that
Young Hong says yay I use
long-
VWAP and Emma crossover with MACDBBS.
Mac the BBS. I've never heard of the BBS thing added on. Okay. Encouraging coronavirus data for England. Hospital admissions and single figures in most English regions. 5 admissions were reported in
Gary
several
Rich
regions
says on
July
YM we
5th.
have to get past June 24th highs, then June 16th, and June 9th to fully clear skies ahead. Watch those areas for reversal jack and forth. RJ Wheel says pretty much same.
No. It's getting a little hot in here. What does my thermostat say? No. Why does it say that I'm away? Okay. Well, I don't like I often like to wait for the open, but I don't know. I'm seeing encouraging movement here. I think this is a good trade. Maybe of course I'm not trading it, so I guess we can ignore what I'm saying. But let's just say for the sake, stop buying 64. Okay, I will be right back and need some water.
RJ Wheel says trades to and from VWAP Young Hung. Can live off that. Young Hong says true especially with the huge upward trends happening RN. Young Hong says TBH though they're really testing VWAPRN.
Well, I think
Gary
if
Rich
I had
says
been
above
trading this, I
VWAP
would have
go
taken
long,
a
below
loser somewhere along there.
VWAP go short. Holy crap, what a concept. Maybe we should sell courses and teach a room. Kenny Desmet says if there's a really big candle, does that mean that it's stronger than 2, 3 little ones? RJ
One-
Wheel says I've got 25970, 740 and 655 on YM for targets below.
I used to live off of trading it off of the VWAP, but I quickly learned
Young
that
Hong
it's
says now I
more
use
complicated than that.
VWAP along with price action and supplementary indicators.
Okay, well, I mean, I still like it long. It just looks like it's a crowded trade. I think that's the thing that I'm not considering here is that it looks like the fundamentals.
RJ Wheel says agree. Me too YH.
It looks like everything favors along here, but probably a lot of longs already in it ahead of that.
Gary Rich says we also Seth just don't like VWAP.
So we're seeing this dump and now new regular session low. It could still bounce back up, right? So, and I suppose that VWAP would be as good a spot as any. 61.5. Roundabout. Getting a lot of clicking there though. Zero hedge, good news is bad news for Burr. That's what their take. Their take is that the number is too good and that they'll have to back off this monetary stimulus. Well, maybe.
Gary Rich says everyone be watching and using VWAP. I guess herd mentality is bad.
Well, the problem is a lot of people definitely watch it and the market definitely reacts around the VWAP, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can develop a positive expectancy off of it. I have found in my back testing
Sunday Driver says Tesla soars over $1,300.
Adding a VWAP filter tends to increase the how much you make on the trades. So I'm not going to say that there's nothing to it. I'm just saying that if that's the only basis for your trade,
Sunday Driver says I won't be happy until Tesla is a $5 stock.
Oh, that thing can't be stopped, man. It's a popular girl. See, I think
Young Hong
this
says
is a
2
buy.
Elon tweets later. RJ Wheel
62.
says that's gonna be a lot of splits. Gary Rich says at Sunday new 1500 outperform by analysts. I am a bear on Tesla.
I'm sure at some point Tesla's going to have a really, really heavy pullback. But I've found that those are usually too hard to play.
Sunday Driver says I was a bear on Tesla at $600. Lol.
Right.
RJ Wheel says mining on the moon by 2025.
I've never found anything to give you a good idea of how many people can actually come into a momentum move. You know what I mean? If I had some way of saying, okay, because of this reason and this reason, this is the maximum number of people that are eventually going to jump on this trend, and so that you could know if it was worth trying to jump on or not. But it seems to me that just more people can materialize out of nowhere and that it's impossible to predict. So, but Tesla, who knows how high it can go? But I agree with you that the stock, um, it's too high. It's overvalued, and probably when earnings come out, they're going to have to take a dose of reality. Because even with the most rosy projections, there's no way they're going to meet that. And then, of course, who knows? Maybe that becomes a buyout.
Gary Rich says if that jerk-off gets into the S&P 500, managers have to buy it. Oh, Elon gets another comp package if he gets into S&P.
Interestingly enough, he himself said that.
Dan H says I noticed that there is a sale on the Jigsaw Market Maker's Manual.
Yeah, it was like $100 off of it. Okay, now there's the open.
RJ Wheel says I like the way she say him.
I don't know. I really think that we're gonna see 88 today.
RJ Wheel says him.
I know. It's, you know what? Like I said, I'm not doing as well today. Like, I don't feel on top of my game, so I'll just put that disclaimer out there. But I still feel strongly that we will eventually hit our first
RJ
upside
Wheel
target.
says oh.
Sunday Driver says him.
I think so one thing is how much of the action from the open was people front running the ISM is one question. And then the other question is just, are we too high because of the Asian session and all of that, right? Zero Hedge is running again with the stock stumble as investors realize ISM good news is bad news for liquidity lifelines. I'm not sure if that's
Gary
true.
Rich says I bought some cocaine cut with COVID from my local protesters or former Chaz resident. I'm flying high.
This what I'm seeing right now looks like the wrong side of the trade bullshit. Like, how do I explain this? I have to tell a long story. Do you guys remember
Young Hong says noise.
when we had the trade war going on? So late last year, and one of the things that came in was that the UK was going to have was going to do Brexit, had security Brexit deal, and then there was some crazy news off of that, and then later on there was the US and China came to an agreement, and they had that big news conference, and everybody was buying the S&P 500 like super, and it was like super crazy, and then all of a sudden this huge sell came out of nowhere, and we had all of these guys on Twitter came in and saying, "Oh, the deal isn't real. There's too many things in here that don't make sense, and we think that this is all posturing and that the deal is fake." And the S&P 500 sold off significantly there, and even a little bit when it came back in on the next Monday, but ultimately pushed higher. Do you remember that? And I think I'm seeing a little bit of that going on again. That it's like there's some people on the wrong side of this trade, and they're making shit up because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. And so we're getting this move down that makes taking the long really hard. So I still think that it's a long from a certain point, but it's a kind of a question now of at which point do they give up or take their profits or admit that they're wrong. But I think that this good news is bad news for liquidity lifeline storyline. Of course, liquidity, less monetary stimulus is bad. But if the fundamental numbers in the economy are this great, I don't think that that really matters because we can just be pushed up with strong earnings. But then not only that, but I just don't think that one ISM report is really enough to really change the Federal Reserve's mind on how much monetary stimulus we need. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's a bullshit storyline. I think that you buy it. In fact, I will record as such on Twitter. Hmm. Mm-mm. Okay, so now that they've pushed 57, now you're definitely out. Anthony Crudelli, I think it's important to ease your way into the trading week after holiday weekends. A lot of watching and just getting a feel for the market. Markets are always in full speed, but we may not be. After some time off, the markets are always there. No need to rush in. Gilead COVID-19 drug remdesivir causes death in an FDA warning letter. Let's find that story from earlier. News Squawk. Why does this not copy? Yeah, every single chart on YM, one can see that they can't hit above and follow through clearly exhaustion areas. Well, it's definitely moving down. There's still, I mean, the higher end of this, well, we're right now at the higher end of the range, and then the next kind of step down is like 45. But I think that in the current situation, you wait for something to show some positive support, like right there. Okay, that was actually a little dramatic. That right there, 59 is about as good of a long signal as you can get. Assuming you're looking for a long. All of these time frames, Gary's pointing out a ton of time frames showing some exhaustion. Well, don't know. Can't say. I think the thing is that's interesting is that I can say that the fundamentals support going long, except for that it's a crowded trade. So I can sit down and I can say I would prefer to take a long, but if it's not giving us a good long, and so far it's not, is it? Then it doesn't. So I just sit on my hands until it does something that would suggest they're coming my way again. Because I can go and I can say, here's the fundamentals and here's that tape. Right now, the tape is disagreeing with me, right? So if the tape disagrees with me, then I think that I have to step back and say that there's something about that analysis that is wrong. Or we're early. So if we think we're early, then we should just keep an eye out for something that gives us an indication that now is a better time.
Ozzy Knesset says greater than COVID-19 close to losing its epidemic status in the US, according to the CDC.
RJ Wheel says how can you say all fundamentals?
Well, it's certainly not all.
Sunday Driver says my approach is to wait until an investment class is totally ruined and pancaked flat. Then, I buy and just wait. Stupid simple, requires patience, but it works for me.
RJ Wheel says it's a nightmare scenario on the horizon.
I don't know about that one. I think what do we say? I don't think that absolutely everything is positive, for sure not. But I think that the fundamental backdrop does support higher, but the market looks overextended. Like there was too many people long there. So they're going to get washed out and then it's going to go higher. Okay, so that was a really positive move up. I would take 3162.50. It's one setup that we've had a lot of success with on this. Supreme Court rules states can require presidential electors to back popular vote winner in the Electoral College. Are you kidding me? In a rare unanimous decision for the U.S. Supreme Court. Oh wait, I'm misunderstanding. The ruling rose out of a case from Washington State gives states the right to outlaw so-called faithless electors who cast their votes for people other than those chosen by their voters. I see. So this doesn't have anything to do with you have to go along with the national popular vote winner, but only that they can say that the elector has to do what the state says. Cool. Okay, well, that setup is triggered now. Let's see if it turns out in our favor in the end or not.
Gary Rich says people forgot post '08, VIX remained high 35 to 20 for many years. What do we have now?
Yeah, it's pretty high. And there was good trading that first few years, man. I mean, later on, the VIX got so contracted and trading just sucked.
Sunday Driver says that means if the state says to go with popular vote, then the electors go with popular vote regardless of how state voted. I think that's pretty bad, actually.
Well, I don't think that that's what they were ruling on in particular, though, Sunday Driver. This was specifically about faithless electors. Yeah, this is only about that you can't have a faithless elector. Unanimous decision. If it was about can you pass a law, if one of these laws that required the electors to go along with the national popular vote had hit the Supreme Court, then it would be a different thing, and there one of those may eventually. 62.50.
Gary Rich says run your VIX calculations on whatever index or instrument you desire. We gonna remain high for a while.
Sunday Driver says I think faithless electors should get to vote however they please. That's the whole reason for the setup. They are a last-ditch effort to stop a tyrant from being elected.
Nah, don't think so. I think that the electors are just they are not representatives. They are just there to carry out what the states say. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with the Supreme Court when they make a unanimous decision. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Trading Floor Audio retweeting this thing that COVID-19 is close to losing its epidemic status in the U.S. Supreme Court says states can bind electoral college voters.
Sunday Driver says I need to look that up.
I don't think that it addresses the question of whether it's constitutional for a state to just go along with the national popular vote. that, in my opinion, would not be in line. So I'm just realizing one of the things in this whole pick is that I haven't really been get the treasuries for, when they're also turning.
Gary Rich says no COVID losing epidemic status. It's a victim and needs protective status.
Well, I'm really concerned about what happens in the fall. It doesn't look to me like we've really reached herd immunity. It seems to me that the reason that things are going as well as they are is because we crushed the curve. You know what I mean? So many states like Utah only just barely getting into more cases. Okay.
Young Hong says, buffering.
Really? Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll get delayed and you have to refresh the whole screen. What's this that they're saying? Joe Biden says, we're going to beat Donald Trump, and when we do, we won't just rebuild this nation, we'll transform it. Comments like this underscore just how non-scary Biden is to Republicans. Compared to recent nominees, Glenn Beck devoted at least 10,000 hours of airtime to Obama saying the phrase, fundamentally transform America. Biden says the same thing and ZZZ. Glenn Greenwald tweets, it's perfectly understandable that Biden isn't scary to Republicans. He shouldn't be. That's an interesting observation that they're not reacting to it. But is it because they're distracted by other things? What is... oh, that's volume. Wow. Looks like a turn there. Okay. Almost 10% of the labor force in
Sunday
major
Driver says
European
I read the Supreme
economies.
Court decision. I think they made the wrong decision. They got it totally wrong.
Is under one of those schemes designed to help businesses navigate the crisis without letting go of employees. Amazon shares top 3,000. I'm doing this churny thing. They're going to go and hit the average true range stop here? Sure looks like it. House spending bill bars military construction funding for border wall. Well, I'm still in. I feel like I'm suffocating in here, man. Probably breathing really hard too into your ears. The UK has been haunted by Japanification, which is
Sunday
typically
driver
marked by
says
low
German car
inflation growth
sales
and
fall
bond yields.
40%.
I don't know. I'll argue with the Supreme Court if it's like a 5-4 decision, but not when it's unanimous. Not when it's unanimous.
Sunday driver says they're dismantling the constituent.
Okay. Unanimous decision. So how do I put this? The method described within the Constitution to determine that says that you're wrong. Unfortunately. And I just do not believe that you could have the whole country could, like every state could say Donald Trump should be president, and the whole country in the majority in every state could say we want to elect Donald Trump, and then all of the electors could turn around and say no, we don't agree, and they could vote for somebody else. I don't think that was the way that it's supposed to work. Quite honestly, the way the whole like the way that it works so that small states have a larger impact on the election is a very intentional thing, and I think is really good. But the
Sunday
whole
driver
convention,
says that's the way it should be.
the whole what is it? Election convention, what do they call it? College. The whole electoral college is kind of an artifact of an old
Sunday driver
time
says
where
that's exactly how it's supposed to work.
that was never their intention. Absolutely no way. The only reason that we have the electoral college is because it was developed in a time where people couldn't travel.
Gary Rich says the best. Say it, you cowards. Stocks only go up. Stocks only go up. Say the words, Ron. I am your king. Hashtag DDTG.
Okay, well, this last one where we said 62 seems to be going okay. I still say upside is 89. Now it's looking good. Now we're above the news price again. S&P is up 1.5% on the day. Really? What was this about? Oh, so there was more to this discussion. Interesting.
RJ Wheel says house prices too.
But this guy was saying drop the jigsaw, but I don't think that he understands that. Well, you do have to pay the $50 fee. The problem is I really don't know of a um I really can't think of a platform that has really good DOM execution that is cheap. Like the monthly fee. I guess your best option would be on that respect would be Sierra Charts. So then somebody responded to this guy saying, oh, he likes T4. Which I'm not very familiar with. Okay. It looks like they have acceptable. Still $25 a month.
Gary Rich says Seth better sign up with Dave Portnoy Trading Group. They killing it.
No, oh, is that they've been doing well, huh? I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, clearly difficulty getting an entry on this, but it
Young Hung
does
says
look like
me.
I'm going to end up being right. It does look like my overall call to get to 88, 89 on the E-mini or around about there. I said the fundamental support higher. It looks like it's playing out. Looks like their T4 desktop is not cheap. Non-professional. Yeah. To get the kind of data that we're getting in Ninja, it's not cheap. Let's just say that. It's not cheap. But everybody's got an opinion, I guess. The Gallup has an
Young
89
Hong
point
says lucky
difference.
boom. Young Hong says 777.
Well, that's going well so far. And the thing is this is like a much more steady uptrend as well. I didn't want something I think I didn't consider was the time of day. Yeah. So I think that if we were really trading this the
Gary
way that
Rich
we
says getting
should,
rid of the Electoral College would be a disaster.
I think if we're really trading this the way that we should, I would have, oh gosh, whoops. I think that I still would have taken it long off of this. So you would have gotten stopped at least once. Then we come into the 8:15 time period, and then I would have been like, okay. So maybe then we could have taken it somewhere in here, which is about where we said to take it off of this outside bar. So I think you would have taken one loser and have one winner that would at least cancel it out. And hopefully they go higher. But we'll see. It's a crowded trade, so. Okay, so anyways, they're pointing out that in the Gallup poll, current 89-point difference between Republican and Democrats' rating of Trump. The largest partisan gap Gallup has ever measured for presidential approval ratings in a single survey.
Sunday Driver says the Supreme Court has greatly weakened the independence of the Electoral College today.
They're never meant to be independent. Never meant to be independent. Show me a quote from one of the founding fathers about the Electoral College that implies that they should be able to vote whatever way they want. Because if the electors can do whatever they want, why even hold an election? Like, really, makes no sense. It's not like the campaign chooses the voters. Each state has different ways of doing it, but I think that the state legislature just picks it. The Hill tweets, Trump's second term plans remain a mystery to the GOP. Now, this is another interesting storyline that I think may become more significant in the future, but we'll see how it goes. Right now, Donald Trump's case for election is basically vote for me because the other guy is really scary. Now, don't get me wrong, fear is a really effective way to drive votes, okay? This is effective persuasion, but I have found that overall, you tend to need a positive case for being reelected too. So there's kind of this, okay, what policies does Donald Trump want to enact in the second term that he hasn't been able to enact in this term? And right now, I don't think he's really making that case. Donald Trump Jr., you won't hear about it from the activist media, but last week's job numbers smashed expectations, capping off a week of exciting economic news, including the start of Trump's historic USMCA trade deal and a record-setting Q2 for markets. Yes. Oh, it says the market year. We've lost control. Oh, did we just run out of things? Because I'm sure you guys are. I was waiting for a response there. You get what you pay for, remain cheap, remain bad. What were we talking about? Were we talking about platform? Gary might be a little bit delayed. Maybe you need to refresh. I don't know if I don't know. Like I think yeah, Young Hung says the Electoral College isn't supposed to be independent. I agree with you. The Electoral College only exists because back then we didn't have telecommunications and airplanes. And so, having one person that would go and report the results of your state was the only thing that really made that would really work. But they were never intended for that person to be a representative that gets to make his own choice. Every state has different vote splits on rules they decide themselves. Yeah. The one that's is still at question though is that I think this movement to try and tie the results of the election to the national popular vote instead of the vote within every state is unconstitutional, and I think would be a negative thing for the country. There's a reason that we do it based off of by state, because otherwise you get states that would basically not matter to the union anymore. And, that would be a severe blow to the unity of the country, because then some states would basically they would feel like they're being held hostage by the rest of the country because they wouldn't have any impact. Whereas the way that it is now, those Midwestern states, have something. Kanye will weaken the Biden vote and increase his personal wealth, reported. Oh, yeah. So we talked about this earlier, but I don't think that the Kanye West presidential run is serious. He's not registered. I think that he just was sitting there thinking, yeah, no, you know what? I really should run for president. Yeah, we're going to do it. And then he tweeted it out. I think that's what happened. And so, um, can he even get on the ballot? Didn't these nuts get like 15%? Well, it wasn't 15%, but there was a substantial number of people that wrote that down, yes. I don't know why you don't get up earlier and trade some of the Euro London session. Because I have to sleep sometime, dude. You know what? The majority of the action happens around this time, and that's when I want to be in. Don't you have to be a certain age? Yeah, but how old is Kanye West? I think Kanye West is old enough. He's 43. Oh, wait. U.S. president age requirement. Oh, you have to be 35, and he's 43. Oh, so I can run for president now. I should have done it this year, guys. Does it count retro? Like, as long as you're 35, 35 before the election, you're good, right? I should have done it. Oh, look, are we going to get another confirming signal here? One tick. Come on. Must be a natural born citizen and a resident for 14 years. So I sense a little bit of reluctance at 3169. The only thing crowded is that chart. Yeah, I do have a pretty crazy chart. The Electoral College was meant to be a layer to prevent direct democracy. Hamilton envisioned it being filled with men of reason. Find the quote then. Without the Electoral College, 5 states needed to win every presidential election. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's not supposed to be direct democracy for sure, but it's not supposed to be a representative democracy. It's just supposed to be proportional to the states so that each state has a fair say in the outcome, and that states that are small still have some degree of independence and still matter. Otherwise, as Gary stated, you would just have to win California and New York and 2 other states and you'd win every time, and Republican states wouldn't stand a chance. And then everybody would be subject to what the cities say, and then you end up with the same it would essentially become colonialism, right? Everybody everywhere else would just be colonies of New York and LA, maybe Texas, right? That's not what you want, right? But the electors were never meant to be making their own decisions. It's just poor loser talk. If Hillary won, there'd be no discussion of the popular vote, and Russia tampering wouldn't be more than a one-day start. You're probably right. But the reason that the faithless electors thing was a thing was because they were trying to use it to deny Donald Trump his win, right? So if that Supreme Court ruling had gone the other way, then it would have been possible for the electors to have. And the thing is if the Supreme Court had turned that down, then the electors would absolutely start using it then at that point, right? Up until now, it's never happened. But if the Supreme Court ruled otherwise, then all of a sudden, all of the electors would say, well, the Supreme Court says that I can do it, so I should. It would be a disaster. It would be a real disaster. Because then, can you imagine if we had an election where a president overwhelmingly won, and then faithless electors came in and voted somebody else? Yeah. The states can impose whatever rules they want on their electors. I think that that's correct. There have been many cases. I think you're right. I think there have been a couple of cases, but it's never changed the outcome. And if it ever changed the outcome, I think that there would be hell to pay. It would be a real disaster. Ace says, speaking of going my way, anyone else long ES? I am. Did you get long around 3160? We were taking it long around 6250. If not before that, but 6250 was the safe spot. It says, yep. Yeah, so it's been a tough thing because I really liked when that ISM news came out. I was like, oh yeah, that's really positive. And I think there's some other things going on today that should push us up. But then after that news came out, I started seeing people on Twitter and Zero Hedge in particular saying, oh no, we won't get monetary stimulus. This is actually bad news. And I was like, this is bullshit. So I kind of let it come back on that one because there was plenty of places that you could have potentially have tried going long in that mess, right? But now, but then we got a really good signal, and that one seems to be working out. So I think this is a case where I have the call overall correct, but the trade looks crowded, and so getting a good entry was difficult. And I don't think that I would have fared very well in catching it. I'm not trading it today, not even taking orders, but I'm having a little bit of platform issues. Well, with all that said, though, I do think that ultimately we could see 88 today. It looks a little bit constrained, so we might come a little bit short of that. But I still like it wrong. I'm keeping an eye out. I haven't seen coronavirus cases. And I just feel like I'm suffocating today. But I think that one, I think the trade was crowded. I think that my initial analysis was wrong, right? Because it was a good positive thing, but I didn't consider that they were already really long. NASDAQ hits all-time high in Standard and Poor's being retweeted by Zero Hedge. No irrational exuberance right now, none at all. I mean, at this point, is it irrational? I don't know. I find it hard to make the case on a day-to-day basis to sell. You know what I mean? The economic news looks good. The recovery looks good. The coronavirus, even though we're getting new cases, we're not getting more deaths. And I guess they did close some places down, but that doesn't seem to be a big deal, apparently. So I'm not sure. The longer term bear case just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The only thing that I think makes a whole lot of sense on the bear side is that we're overvalued. But I have learned from a value perspective that if we're overvalued, that doesn't mean that we have to move down. It might just mean that we move sideways. If you're asking what's irrational exuberance and you do not understand markets, well, I mean, amount of exuberance is always a relative thing, right? I've noticed that in California, higher cases, but deaths have not risen. Yeah. You're not going to see the death rate isn't going to increase. You might see number of deaths overall, like deaths per day might increase, but death rate won't, because we have so much testing. Okay, so there they finally broke out a little bit higher. I was starting to get a little bit concerned about it, but that's the way it tends to go. Now that they're getting up above here, I think that all these guys that were saying, oh, the news was actually bad because they won't print as much money, probably a little unhappy right now, if they didn't already get out. There was some absorption on that last push up. So there was some targets out there with some liquidity, and they went right into it. Now there's another one at 31.70.50, and I would expect that they will probably take that too, and then we'll see if they place more. Value sucks right now. Momo, risk parity are the name of the game. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I just the bear case today doesn't make much sense. It's kind of funny how it changes, because man, like on Friday and Thursday and Friday was like, oh, they're going to shut the economy down again, and it's going to be super bad and so negative. And now it's like nobody cares. But the market isn't pricing in new cases very effectively, does it? That doesn't seem like it is. Been following my trend line for finding trades today. I don't know what line you're looking at. The funny thing is, when I come back and look at this chart again, messy chart, I know, there's not really much. This was a deep pullback, 74 to 56. So this was a 20 handle pullback, right? I can't take that one. That's one that if I'm right, I'm early, you know. I think I made the right. I think that my call is right. I think that my overall call is going to be right, but that it was early. They don't care about bad news until it becomes bad enough to unwind positioning. Okay. Well, but I mean, the thing is that we've had days that were bad, right? I mean, like, what day was it? This is where I start to get confused. Where is it? This whole thing. June 10th. Gosh. That was such a bender. Think about it. In one day, we lost more than we've made up in the past 6. 6? 1, maybe though. That's 2 days, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In one day, we lost more than we've gained in the past 5. And there's still this point of control up at 94. And that was, I felt at the time, was largely in part, it had to do with coronavirus cases. And now it's like the market doesn't care about it. In fact, the news isn't coming out at the same time anymore, which is frustrating if you're trying to trade it. No, the only thing you've been saying is that you need a mail your wife. But anyways, how was that day, June 10th, not something where it was like bad news was bad enough to unwind positioning? I mean, people had to have unwound at that point, right? Don't know if it matters. I think that what's happening is the market is reacting to news, and that because the news is so unprecedented, we don't really have any good way of telling what news matters more or should be significant or not. We've had days that retrace highs and lows. A bad day is 5 to 6% moves, not 1 to 3%. Okay. I mean, I guess with where VIX is right now, that's possible. But to me, a 100-point drop in the E-mini is not just chop. Today does look awfully coiled up, doesn't it? Still haven't taken that liquidity that's above us. In fact, I think it's actually consolidated a little bit. But we kind of got this area up to 72. Okay. So there's the take. Now they went through that quite nicely. The amount that was traded there wasn't unreasonable. Pretty much I would say fairly standard, so I think we're good. Ooh. Okay. So that gives me pause. Miami-Dade mayor walking back reopening by closing restaurants, gyms, and other businesses. With the percentage of COVID-19 positive cases growing and an uptake of hospitalizations in Miami-Dade County, I'm continuing to roll back business openings. This will affect restaurants, gyms, and more. That was 3 minutes ago? And they're not really, they're ignoring it. Mayor warns beaches could close again if crowding. Well, that could be a good reason to take it off. You got almost 10 points, right? Sorry, it was 62, right? Yeah. 62. So not quite 10 points. So we did see sell sweeps, but the market seems to be shrugging it off and holding for now. Oh, and yeah, because that was the news. The news high was 74. A break of that could certainly cause some chaos in the market. Oh, yeah. There was this thing from the market area that we never looked at. People are back to hate puts mode. We have seen it before. The combined market cap of Apple and Microsoft is now 54% greater than the entire Russell 2000. Okay. We have lost control. Israel, a step away from full lockdown. Government orders closure of event halls, culture venues, gyms, and nightclubs. Netanyahu says country a step away from a full lockdown as cabinet announces dramatic new virus restrictions. Synagogues capped at 19 worshippers, all gatherings capped at 20 people. Okay. China volatility exploding. VXFXI is up 20%. Even though they've moved up? Because here, VIX curve continues lower across the entire curve, yes. Due to COVID, she is on back order until further vaccine. Elon, please produce sex robots. Outside, higher percentage of good air versus the virus. Good to be out, not dangerous in my honest opinion. Well, they seem to be holding it. It's like, isn't it so weird how, well, it's not weird. I think that there's explanations, but you have to go into detail about it every time. It's like sometimes the coronavirus numbers matter a ton and sometimes it doesn't matter at all. Okay, so here we are getting exactly what I predicted. Arizona cases rise 3.4% versus 4.1% 7-day average. Positivity remains above 20%. You're going to see the case counts today aren't going to rise as much because they don't rise as much over weekends. Because people don't go and get tested on a Friday. You got other shit going on, or you're just starting to feel bad enough. You usually don't you wait until Monday. That's what I would do. Okay, so here's a heat map from Goldman. Let's look at this. Open image, new tab. Cases. Now, the number of cases that you're looking at in most places are only like 100. Yeah, I don't know, man. Growth in hospitalizations. What do I want? Hospital ICU capacity available. Who's critical? Rhode Island, 12%. That's not good. So why are we not hearing about them? Rhode Island, Tennessee, Georgia. Georgia was an earlier opener. Arizona, 23. Where am I at? Utah. Why is this not in alphabetical order? Utah. 37%. Oh, we're totally fine. We're totally fine. Fatalities per million per day. Arizona, 4.6. Rhode Island, 4.4. Why are we hearing... Oh, in New Jersey, 3.9. New Jersey has a lot of hospital capacity, though. Well, why are we not hearing more about Rhode Island? We've been hearing about Arizona, but I'm concerned about Rhode Island now. Heard Boris in the UK going to close the Chinese 5G tech just blocking Huawei. Yeah. So it's kind of weird how all of the sudden in the past week that pretty much the entire Western world has said, oh, nope, we don't want this Huawei thing. I think the case was that they were always planning on doing this because they think that there's spyware in it. I mean, I haven't heard much about that, but I remember the story being that they had found that they could be implementing stuff on the chip that would allow like creating a backdoor in the chip. And that was why they didn't want to do it. And I think that the only reason why it's been going on this long is because it's been a major issue over the trade war, since that doesn't seem to be a thing right now. And China seems to be signaling that they don't have any appetite for trade war right now. So they're all getting rid of it now. The next 3 weeks, it's all dominated by earnings, economic revisions, and world markets. Well, just this week is significant stuff, right? That's old news with Huawei. So 2015. Yeah, I think you're about right that the first time I heard about that was 2015. But if that's what they've been doing, then why would any country allow that technology into their 5G infrastructure? Because the 5G infrastructure is literally like put it in everything, right? The whole thing with 5G is that you can get fast, high bandwidth, low latency metrics on anything, wireless for cheap. Don't underestimate this 5G stuff is freaking huge, right? Because you can now have sensors, you can manage every metric in your entire city, including how many people are going where and this sort of thing. And you want to allow China access to all of that data? If there was a war, do you have any idea how dangerous that would be for them to be able to utilize that kind of technology against you? Not worth the risk. But you're right, it's been going on for a long time. So I just think it's interesting that now is the time that they all say, okay, now it matters and we're going to take it out. They've been messing around with it up until now. Okay, so there's a pretty significant sell there. I'm starting to wonder if they can sustain this anymore. Okay, so there's another further drop. Oh, a little bit of absorption at 3168.75. Utah mother asking everyone to respect people's decisions to wear a mask after she was harassed for wearing one. Why would anybody? I don't get the mask. Explain this to me. What's the big freaking... I was watching this video. Okay, so I think I saw this on TikTok. This guy was saying, oh, look, if you wear a mask, that means that I believe everything that the government says. And look, it covers my mouth, so I'm a slave. And I'm like, doesn't mean any of that shit. It just means that you're wearing a piece of cloth over your mouth. Like, big fucking deal, dude. Nobody cares. You wear it or you don't wear it. I don't care. Because I'm not too... Well, I personally am not too concerned about getting it, but I don't want my family to get it. I'm a little bit concerned. And I have the ability to avoid the public largely, so that's what I'm doing. And I want to go out, I wear the mask, because my wife makes the masks. So I have one, I wear it. What's the big deal? Why is this if you were going to choose to put your energy towards a political movement, why that? I don't understand. I feel like I understand the people that feel that way generally pretty well. I tend to understand why they're thinking what they do and can predict what they're going to do. But the way that they have that they're so triggered by the masks is just, I cannot explain. I'm a Karen against wearing the mask. But Like, I don't understand. Why would you care enough to say something to somebody else when you're out and about? Like, look, when I'm out and about, like, I'm going to have to go and pick up some medication here after my morning meeting. I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm out there doing that. I don't. I see somebody I know, maybe, but I'm not out there to socialize with strangers. Oh, the worst is when you're commuting on the train and people want to talk to you. No, the train is not the place to talk to people, guys. Don't talk to people on the train. Ugh. Imagine if Clinton was president, how stubborn they'd be. Oh, you're totally right, RJ. Oh man, like if they act this way when Donald Trump is telling them to wear the masks, then what would they do if it was Hillary? You're totally right. Ugly people don't get shamed publicly. Oh man. Well, it's about time for me to get going. I'm just like reading the tape and the technicals and everything as kind of puts me in an uncertain zone. I think that for the larger trade, I'm less confident about my long, but not enough to have me be flipping, but I'm kind of would be sitting here on the trigger finger. Overall, I guess I would be getting out here at 69 and just be done and have my $25 or whatever. So I guess for me, it doesn't matter, but I'm just thinking going ahead, I want to give you something so that, when we go to 3188, you can say, oh, that is exact. Seth said it, and it was exactly just again. We've had a pretty good streak. 3188.89 is the target. Seems a little constrained, but I think we should get there. So, like I said, I'm not hyper confident about it, but I do think that the probability favors us going to 3189. And that's my call for the day. The Harvard lawyer says that the Epstein assistant should be considered innocent. Oh my gosh, this. Yeah, that whole thing. Okay, now we have a pretty good move back up there. I don't know. I mean, I would be careful about if we saw a big sell or something, because there could be some more coronavirus numbers in there, and you never know. I do suspect, though, that they're going to be good because the case counts are always lower over the weekend, and the market doesn't seem to be adjusting for it very effectively right now. But we'll see. Maybe they catch on. Maybe my tweet. I tweeted, and all of those people that develop the algorithms for that are like, oh man, no, Seth is totally right. Look at it. It's always lower on Monday and Tuesday. It's always higher on Wednesday and Thursday. Well, you're welcome if that's the case. If that's you and you're updating your model, you're welcome. It's a freebie. Just give this video. All I ask is you give the video a like. That's it. So should we? What should we call for the today's title? Oh my! Let's say markets higher but crowded. Markets higher but crowded after positive. After blowout ISM number. Was the ISM, right? Yep, it was the ISM. Save. That woman, they need to move her weekly or she's going to have a mysterious death. New York is flattering, apparently. I think he said the wrong thing. By the way, Young Hong, I think that's a new name, and I appreciate the participation, and welcome to the channel. E-Trader, why is NQ going up? Well, so, man, I got 2 minutes, so I'm going to be really fast. Overall, the market fundamentals are pushing us up. We've had some positive economic numbers out of China, and the Chinese state media has also been saying that the movement of stocks is going to be the most important thing to the economy going forward, which suggests that the Chinese are going to do everything they can to ensure that the market continues to be positive. We're also likely to get lower coronavirus numbers because it's Monday and the market doesn't seem to be looking far enough out to be pricing that effectively. And then we got this ISM number that's super crazy. So even though the trade is crowded and the catching along has been difficult, we are continuing to move up. And NASDAQ contains all of these tech stocks that are actually benefiting from coronavirus because more people are, working remote and using remote technology and things like that, which is positive for all those tech companies. So when the traders are piling in, they particularly pile into NASDAQ. Hence we move up. Okay. So I've spoken too long. It is time for me to go. Hopefully I don't have as many issues as we did today, but I will see you guys tomorrow. It's an interesting day today. From day to day, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what's going on, but when I look at the larger term thing, I feel confused. Like, does the second wave matter, or like, is the government just gonna buy everything up and it's gonna be fine? Like, I don't know, but we'll just take it bit by bit. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends. Oh yeah, and hit that